We're talking with Wilmington's mayor, Jim Baker. Jim, it's been 43 years or so since you and I met.
Right.
I was a very young reporter for the News Journal, and you were Delaware's very first VISTA volunteer.
Yeah.
You've spent a lot of time as mayor, trying to reinvigorate neighborhoods.
Right.
How's that going?
Well, not as well as I would have liked, because the amount of resources that you need to really regenerate a neighborhood is enormous. That's number one. And you need to get the people excited about their own destinies. Number two, and number three, in a lot of cases, you just need new housing and new people coming in to make a neighborhood secure. Show you an example. We did there was a corner store up on 6th and Franklin. They had a shooting up there and some other things and drug activity and all like that. Well, eventually, Councilmember Friel went to the housing people and said, can't we do something about it? So the partnership under Jerry Kane decided, okay, let's take and try to buy the corner store. And they did that. And then they decided, well, let's not just do the corner store. Let's get the next few. And they went all the way down the street, and then eventually they got the whole block. Well, Franklin Chase was developed, and it was just amazing, the transformation in that area. I had a guy who was a father, lived on 6th Street, across from the development, and he told his son, he says, it's been years before I could sit out on my porch and feel comfortable. And that's the difference. If you can change it, it makes a difference. If you can make people feel secure, it makes a difference. And it's a very hard thing to do in neighborhoods that have really collapsed. And neighborhoods change every 20 years, and we don't really plan for it. But you take all the people that you and I knew back in West Center City, like the Helen Chambers and all those different people, they were the backbone of that neighborhood and held it together until they started dying off. And then when urban renewal came, it replaced so many people and never put them back in there, because the bedsheet concept didn't work, where they were going to buy up the houses, fix the houses, and bring the people back. Well, they bought up the houses, moved the people, but never got the money to fix it for umpteen years, because the government cut off the money. And that's the only problem that you have with governmental programs. They start, they stop, they start, they stop, because everybody comes in with a new priority. Let's try it this way. And you can imagine what I call poorly done social experimentation, like what they did with the East Side, Project A. Tore everything down and said, let's just build a new one, we'll be all right. How long did it take them to do that?
12 years, 14 years.
20-some years before it was completed.
It was all completed, yes.
But you're right. It just took year after year, and here's this land doing nothing, 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 nothing. And people, businesses were shut down and closed. Houses, people who were stable there lost their housing. Many of them moved to the west side, and other people went elsewhere. I-95, when it come through the west side, look at all the neighborhood people that lost their homes and never came back to the city of Wilmington. Moved elsewhere, and it was
that was a solid working class neighborhoods that
they just destroyed, and that's been the social policies have been so badly done, badly implemented, badly done, and badly thought out. And so I always worry about professors and sociologists and all these people who come up with these fine ideas, but when you try to implement it and you have no pragmatic view of things and no experience, it usually goes awry somewhere along the line.
It's now fashionable to talk about LOMA,
right.
Borrowed, I think, from Denver's LODO, but I've always thought that was the right idea, the mix of residents and business.
It's the best idea.
And what have you done as mayor to encourage that?
The partnership was established actually under Mayor Frawley years ago. And it was a great idea because it created this balance between low-income structuring or moderate income structuring of houses to market. So we have both. And then what really helped us in the city was the Puccini Poland Group coming in with their housing developments on the waterfront. And of course, they did things in downtown. We had private developers for the first time. We had private individuals who came in and did market stuff, which made all the difference in the world. And now Loma is really going on its own cooking. It's starting to take place. And with the Queen coming in, here's another private development, which was really a boon to downtown. But you take the riverfront, it took off on its own. And a lot of people misunderstand development because they think, why isn't it just happening? Boom, 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 like some kind of master plan and millions of dollars, and all of a sudden everything's done and you just go to this beautiful place. It takes years.
People say that you're arrogant, you're tough.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't deny all that stuff. I mean, it's useless to try to say you're arrogant. Yeah, I can be very nasty when I want to be. I can be very nice when I want to be. I can be very tough when I want to be. That's human to me. That's not, it's got nothing to do with it. When I know I'm right, look out. Don't try to get in my way, because I'm going to fight you. If you think you're going to step in my way, and I'm going to step out of your way, and I'm not, no, I'll run over you if I can. But it works.
You came to Delaware as a social worker, broadly
Right.
defined.
All right.
You ended up being a politician, a professional politician for basically most of your life.
Right.
Either as a councilman, and then you were the first African-American city council president here in Wilmington. You're the first three-term mayor.
Right.
Some pretty signal achievements.
Right. Well,
What-
don't
what's-
ask me how.
But why politics?
I just felt okay. When people kept asking me to run, I would say no. I think politics is dirty. I don't think I'd make a good one, and all of that. And then finally, believe it or not, Jim Sills one day said to me, "Look, Jim, you can't always stand on the outside screaming and yelling at what's wrong and why isn't this being under that. The only way to change things is be there, get in the inside, and you should run for office." So actually it was Jim Sills there that actually encouraged me to run for office by making me feel guilty about criticizing and not getting involved in the process of politics. So eventually I did, and I was just fortunate. And when I ran for the first time and won, and then I liked the energy of it. And I liked the ability to think and to reason and to propose and to try to get things done. And it's unending. I had a naive belief that you could set things in place and then, voila, society's changed, things are better. It never ends. It's always a work in progress. And I think that's what the uniqueness of the founders of this country understood from the beginning, that it was never going to be done, that it is always a work in progress. And they allowed for that in the Constitution and everything else. And a lot of people who live in America today don't understand that. They think that everything should be complete. We should understand this, that, and we don't need to do any more because we did this, we did that. No, it's an unending process. And that's the beauty of a representative democracy, which was established. So I got into politics. I liked the give and take. A secret to my madness is I don't mind combativeness.
No.
Never have. A lot of people always thought I did mind, combative. I never have. Whether it was physical, I used to, I hated bullies. And I had my fights with bullies. I would fight a bully in a minute. Because to me, whereas verbal bullying, physical bullying, you have no right to do that to people and think that you can get away with it and that nobody's going to do anything about it. So I like doing something. When I see a bully politician, and there's a lot of them, oh, it's fun. Okay. Let's go to war and get it over with. But ideas, you can take an idea and you can make it into reality. You can get people to think they can achieve, they can do. It's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can do. So that's the good part of politics. And we had some very good people in politics in Wilmington. Wilmington's been fortunate. If you look at Bill McLaughlin, he was my favorite mayor in terms of working with. He was such a great guy to work with. But Bill understood he needed good people. He had good people around him. Dan Frawley was what I call the college graduate who never got out of the frat house. Dan was really energetic. He loved what he did. He was gargacious and very smart. If you look at Mayor Haskell was just a straight-out business guy. You know, matter-of-factly, very much like a businessman.
He's a big fan of yours.
Well, he was a great guy, really, and he did a good job. And he was easy to work with, even though I got in arguments with my boss and all that kind of stuff. But that, you know, that happens. If you take Tom Maloney, now Maloney was what I would call the Kennedy mayor. He gave this feeling of almost an euphoric period of time where he and his wife were young and very attractive couple, and he could mimic anybody in the world. He could make you think he was President Kennedy or somebody like that. But he had that energy about him, which made him a good mayor also. Jim Sills had the absent-minded professor. He always seemed like he was always thinking. A very bright man, very thinking man. It just had some unfortunate things happen, but a very, very caring person who wanted to actually change our whole society, and you just don't have that ability at the city level. So we've had some good mayors. We have some good council members. Fred Sears, Tom Quinn, I ran against both of them, but you look at Dick Pryor, you look at Joe DePinto, we've had some Lonnie George, we've had some great council members. And politicians in recent times are not very good at being politicians.
What do you mean by that?
Good at getting elected, but not knowing a daggone thing about why they're there. Politicians today are more interested in being elected and rising to the top sort of thing and being this important, powerful, likable guy or woman in politics. And the real reason why you get into it is for service to the people. We're only temporary, you're not permanent, and you try to do the best you can with the information and the knowledge you have to do the job for the better common good. Today, the common good has been lost a long time ago. You look at Congress, there's no common, they don't even have a sense of common good or the common people of the United States. It's all about them. It's all about their philosophy. It's all about we got to win rather than to serve the nation. And that's what we're getting in just about every level of government anymore. We're not getting the quality of service to the people and understanding the complications of the issues you have to address and doing the best you can with it.
Who are your heroes?
My number one hero is Frederick Douglass. If anybody should be celebrated as a holiday, it should be Frederick Douglass. Why? This was a man during a time when being an abolitionist was not the popular thing in this country. I don't care what color you were. But to be an African American and be an abolitionist was just like asking somebody to blow your head off. But he stood up alone. There wasn't the NAACP, the Urban League, all these different groups. There wasn't this. The liberal thinking of the day was Lincoln's thinking, was that slavery was wrong, but African Americans are still not up to the level of whites, and we needed to deal with it. He was willing to even let everybody go back to Africa, buy the land, and resettle. But that was considered radical, not even liberal, it was considered radical of his day. that you would consider these people, these slaves as people. But anyway, Frederick Douglass stood alone for year after year after year and did a gigantic job recruiting, like, for example, the 54th Massachusetts group for the Civil War, fighting when he was the only one who got into the presidency and could talk to the presidents. So he's my favorite of all time.
What's the history book going to say about Mayor Jim Baker?
I don't know. It really doesn't matter, because as long as I probably don't have to read it, it won't matter. But
let me put it another way. What would you consider your single most significant accomplishment in the last 12 years?
Oh, last 12 years.
Yeah, as mayor, your time as mayor.
Well, actually seeing things getting done in downtown, seeing things getting done in the neighborhoods and on the waterfront. I mean, all three areas have seen dramatic changes. The only thing that we could not crack was the social ills and the real economic ills and the education ills. Those are the things that just held back this city. It holds back every city in the country. When you look at the crime and you look at all the reasons for the crime, what I hated over all these years, and I've fought it for all 12 years or 11 years so far, has been the idea that the police somehow are going to crack the crime problem. Now, that is about as dumb as you can get. That is just a matter of deployment. It's just a matter of philosophy. It's just a matter of this. And crime is going to somehow disappear. It will not. Because what we haven't done is look at the impact. Yeah, shootings will go down, this will happen, that will happen, burglaries will, but the crime still goes on because we haven't dealt with early childhood education. We haven't dealt with the dropout problem. We haven't dealt with the economic problems. We haven't dealt with the broken family, because you have too many women trying to raise children in these neighborhoods by themselves without the men, and the men are running around doing whatever they're doing. In terms of looking at all these things and not doing anything about them but let them run their course is just a perfect recipe for disaster. And I think we're headed for worse than what we see today, because we're not trying to work together. There is no one agency, no one government that can handle all these problems. They're too big. But if we were working together and saying, all right, we know now here we just got $49.8 million for early childhood education. How is it going to be used? Is it really going to change children's lives? Are we going to really start teaching children math, science, and language and different things like that at early ages so that they can be up here instead of down here? Are we really going to close the gaps that we see in the racial issues? Are we going to do those things? Are we going to just play at it and try to make it look like we're doing something, and then finally, after it's all said and done, we say, well, what did we accomplish? God knows, I don't know, but we really have to get serious about these things. No child today in any urban area or poverty level should go without early childhood education. None. No child today should be expected not to have mentors through their school years, because if you expect them to get good things out of their home life, a lot of these kids, it's the worst thing in the world that's happening to them if you look at their home life. So we have to do things differently, and we're not. So that's where politics, to me, has gone awry. And we've done very creative things, and when you look at what do I think is the best out of it, actually, it's not so much, I think I like the fact that I got the Wilmington course, children's course, through Tina done, because there are young children learning music, language, each other. They're all different backgrounds, different levels of social economic background, and they're coming together and they're doing something magnificent, singing to the world. I think that was more important than a lot of the other stuff, even the development stuff that's taken place. Because those young children are going to make a difference as they get older. They're going to be in the arts. They're going to understand the arts. They're going to make the arts work better. If I had my druthers, I would have spent millions on the arts. Because creative people make societies grow or die.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
Oh, thank you. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And hopefully we make another 43
That's
years.
right.